Good morning, good people. It is Wednesday, November the 10th, 2021. This is Wake Up with RayGQue, presented by Bets TV. Make sure, if you don't have an opportunity to listen to this thing live every day, 7 a.m. Central Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can find the show on Bets TV's YouTube channel. Subscribe to Bets TV YouTube, as well as to the Wake Up with RayGQue podcast on all your streaming platforms. You can find us everywhere. Every day we're going to start with some positivity, some motivation, and this isn't a quote from Winston Churchill. It's not something from Maya Angelou. We're all busy, man. Life, we're all busy. Just the hardest step is the first step. Last night I had zero interest in going to work out. But as soon as I bent over to put my tights on, to throw my shoes on, to get my workout shirt on, like, it was all alleviated and I felt good after that. So take the first step, whatever it is in life, man. Take the first step today. The first step in the building is always the most difficult one. Once you do that, you can overcome a bunch of shit that is sort of impeding you from reaching that goal, man. Take that step. Take that leap. Don't be afraid. Don't procrastinate. Don't psych yourself out, man. The bad vibes will keep you from taking that step. Make sure you do it. Take that step. Go achieve those goals today. Make it happen on this fine Wednesday. But I appreciate y'all tapping in. Brandon, shout out to you and your beautiful daughter. You're probably not getting any sleep. We talked a little last night. Enjoy it. It does not get better, my friend. What's going on, man? It's good to see all of y'all this morning. We got some things to get to today. Of course, Odell Beckham Jr. watch. We'll talk a little bit about that. Then we'll also talk about the newest owner to do stupid stuff. And this is a very troubling situation going on in Phoenix. We'll tap into that in a little bit. But first and foremost, Jay, how you doing this morning?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Late night last night. Lots of, smaller sports coming about, like college basketball kicked off, a little bit of NBA action like you talked about with Robert Sarver. That's I'm sure that story is not even close to over yet. So we'll see what else happens with that. But excited to be here, man. Happy to be on the show. We got some Thursday Night Football coming up soon. Some more Lamar Jackson like we talked about. I actually found an interesting stat on Lamar that I think is going to surprise some of our listeners. So I'm excited to kind of drop that later in the show.
All right. Well, Odell Beckham. We're on Odell Beckham Jr. watch. He's officially a free agent. He cleared waivers yesterday. Free to sign anywhere that he wants. There was a brief report yesterday that his preferred destination is Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur. And then there were also some reports from Josina Anderson that the New England Patriots were in heavy contact with Odell Beckham Jr. I think we find him land somewhere today. And it may happen while we're live on the show, but I do think he's going to find a spot today. I mean, there's no reason for him to, draw this out into some long courtship, work it out. It's going to be, Green Bay, when I think about that situation, I think it's the perfect landing spot for Odell because I think that's a place where Aaron Rodgers this is his last stand with them. Devontae Adams may be looking for a new home. And OBJ, Green Bay only has to pay the minimum throughout the rest of the season. And then Odell could either choose to resign and stay with Jordan Love or find a new home elsewhere. But playing with Aaron Rodgers in this Green Bay offense opposite Devontae Adams could be the best rehabilitation tool for his career. While I think his perceived downfall is a bit dramatized just a little bit. I don't think he's this bad player. I still think he's ultra talented. There are a lot of smart people in the industry who still, Matt Harmon being one of them, he still gets open. He still gets open at a ridiculous rate. Some of those, the things that hinder Odell Beckham, dropping the ball, that's totally on him. But a lot of times he just wasn't involved in the Cleveland offense. So you pair him with Aaron Rodgers, the best quarterback that he's ever had in his career. And I know he played really well with Eli, but at that point in time, Eli was towards the back end of his career, opposite of Devontae Adams, where he doesn't have to be the one. In Cleveland, for better or worse, he was probably the number one wide receiver that defenses schemed against when he was on the field. And outside of that first season with Freddie Kitchens, where he had a 1,000-yard season, it didn't come together in Cleveland. But I would absolutely love to see him, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams go for it this season, and all three of those guys could potentially be looking for new homes in 2022. I also think the New England Patriots is very, very interesting, and a lot of people are like, Bill Belichick won't put up with OBJ and his antics. One, I don't think we've seen any Odell Beckham Jr. antics for over the last 2-3 years. him wanting the ball is not something new. All wide receivers want the ball. You should see CeeDee Lamb on the sideline of Cowboys games when he's not getting targeted. Like, he's like talking to the OC, hey, get me involved, give me the ball. Wide receivers can't be effective if they're not being targeted. So I think the noise about him being a distraction are severely overrated. I think it'd be a fantastic fit that upgrades that offense. They need a more explosive wide receiver opposite Devontae Adams. I get Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Allen Lazard have filled in admirably at times, but not consistently. I think he slots right into that wide receiver 2 role. No Robert Tonyan. I think this is a great landing spot for OBJ. I also think New England is a good one. Again, Bill Belichick can't take on these guys. Randy Moss's career, when he left Oakland to go to New England, people thought Randy Moss was cooked. They thought he was done. They thought he was over, washed up, disinterested in the game. And then he goes to New England, and I get it. New England with Tom Brady, with Bill Belichick, perfect set of circumstances, but they worked through that situation. Darrelle Revis, when he was signing his one-year deals, they brought in Chad Johnson. New England takes some chances on players that can help them win. And if Odell Beckham Jr. lands with the Patriots, that's the type of wide receiver that Mac Jones will hyper-target. And OBJ doesn't have to worry about Mac Jones running around because he's not a dual-threat quarterback. It's timing, it's accuracy. Those are things that he does well. It allows Odell Beckham Jr. to do some of the things that he does well, which is run after the catch, create after he catches slants. That's what we were used to seeing from him during his prime, right? OBJ catching a 8-yard slant and then housing that, taking it 40 yards down the field. So I think those are still my 2 preferred landing spots for him. New Orleans, sure, but Trevor Siemian, and if something were to happen to Trevor Siemian, and now you bring him Taysom Hill, it's just not a good situation. Alvin Kamara's a little banged. I don't think that's a good situation for OBJ, but he may feel otherwise. I don't know. What do y'all think, Dre? Where do you think he lands?
That's tough, man. I do think that, to your point, New England has a shot. The main reason why is because I think they need that offensive weapon, and that could really take them to another level. Obviously Green Bay, great situation for Odell. Is he willing to kind of be the number 2 there? I don't know. But one of the things I think is really interesting that isn't being talked about so much is that if he does go to Green Bay, is what does that mean for next season? Like beyond this season, because if I was Odell Beckham Jr. and I'm trying to, I don't want to say resurrect my career, but definitely, his career has been going downhill a little bit for some years. Why wouldn't I say to Aaron Rodgers, hey, Aaron, how about we just get together in Green Bay, and then wherever you want to go next year, I'm coming with you. So not only are these teams that want to sign these players going after Aaron Rodgers, going after Odell Beckham, but you get them both. And I think for Odell, why wouldn't he do that? Unless some team is offering him an exorbitant amount of money, he's got to be 27, 28 now?
He's 29. He's 29. Just turned 29.
Again, he's almost 30.
Yeah,
so
but
this isn't
chasing the
bag
You can't it's not as easy to do that in the NFL because of salary cap restrictions. Because he's still going to want to get paid like a top-tier wide receiver. And let's just say, hypothetically, Aaron Rodgers goes to some of the landing spots people are talking about, Denver. Well, they got Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. They're not about to pay OBJ, regardless if he wants to go with Aaron Rodgers or not. If Rodgers goes to the Raiders, it's not, they're paying Waller. It's much more difficult to form these super teams and travel with your buddy in the NFL than it is in pro basketball. Like I think, yeah, Bruning said it right. I don't even think, and I get what you're saying, right? But I don't even think that's an option. Like it does not work like that in the league. If he goes to Green Bay, this will be the swan song for probably that trio. Rodgers will be out. I don't think Rodgers wants anything to do with Green Bay. I don't know where he's going to land. I have no prediction, but I think he's out. OBJ would be a half-season rental, praying that he goes to the Super Bowl with Green Bay, and then he'll be looking for a new team somewhere else. I like Green Bay. I think that'd be the best fit for my Odell Beckham Jr. Shares in Dynasty Fantasy Football. I'll tell you that right now. And like Bruning said, the whole stuff about OBJ being a cancer and a problem, way overblown.
Yeah.
But all accounts, he and Baker Mayfield are like super close off the field, like really good friends. It just didn't click on the field. So I will be watching intently for Odell Beckham Jr. news. I actually want to do something while we're live. I need to check my waivers. I need to see who I got. Let me see. Let's check waivers in a couple of these important leagues. Let's go to Bomb Squad. Let's see if I picked up anybody.
Who are we going after right now, though? Who are we going after right now?
I got Eno Benjamin. Okay, I got Eno. I got Deontay Foreman. And one player I put claims in across all my leagues, Jay. And I was wondering if I was going to be able to pick him up for free. Nwangu, the running back from the Vikings. He returned.
Yeah.
Kene Nwangu.
Oh, man, I'm not even going.
Yeah. I don't want to butcher his name.
Is he from? Where did he go to school?
Iowa State.
I forget now.
Iowa State. He was there with Breece Hall.
Breece Hall's backup.
I put in claims for all of those. I put in claims in every league to pick him up. So I got one share of Eno. That works. I got two shares of
everything
Eno.
with Dalvin Cook, right? Dalvin Cook being accused of assault, right? All that stuff with former girlfriend. So we'll see what happens with that. But he's also the kick return touchdown was the big thing with him this week.
The kick return, the explosiveness. So let me tell you about why I was like, okay, let me just get in early. Do you remember how David Johnson got started back in 2015?
No, not at all.
You don't remember David Johnson? Okay, so let me tell you about
just how he got
let me tell you how. Let me tell you how he got his shot. So David Johnson was a 3rd round pick out of Northern Iowa. He was a 3rd round pick. And coming into that season, I don't remember if the incumbent starter was Ellington. I think it was Ellington, not Wayne Ellington,
was
not
Chris
basketball.
Johnson there at that time?
I don't know if CJ was there, but David Johnson returned 3 straight kickoff returns for a touchdown. I think it was the first player in NFL history, a first rookie, to return 3 consecutive games for a kick return touchdown in NFL history. And I just kept seeing him on kick returns. I'm like, yo, this dude's big. He's fast as hell. And then all of a sudden, I remember the week they rolled him out there at running back and started giving him carries and throwing him the ball. And I was like, all right, we have something. And there was the rise of David Johnson. So when I saw, Andre Ellington, that was his name, Andre Ellington, and CJ2K was there. So when I saw,
both of them were there, yeah.
When I saw I'll get his name right, Kene return that kick, I'm like, yo, he was on IR, he was hurt. Everyone knew he was big and athletic coming out of Iowa State. He just didn't have the production. I was like, hell, it's worth a shot. And I'm looking at all the leagues where I put a waiver claim in on him. I got 100% hit rate. Like, I got him in every league that I just went and put. And now, I'm not going to get into the Dalvin Cook stuff because I don't know what's going on with that. There are allegations of domestic abuse against both parties. Dalvin Cook and his girlfriend. I don't know how all of that's going to shape up. But if there is any missed time, I think he'll get elevated. But we might see him. If Dalvin is there, he's not going to be worth anything. He's just a dart throw, taxi squad stash. But in the event that something were to happen, it could there could be some there could be a situation where he sees himself on the field. So that was the player I wanted. Just the player I wanted. Just want to throw that out there. Matt Bruning, your program league, I hate it. I just want to say it. Y'all do a great job. Y'all do a fantastic job. Y'all run it. Y'all do a fantastic job. It's a great league, but I absolutely hate it. The fact, dude, they do this thing where you got to recruit players, and I had an 85% chance to win this recruit, right? Somebody with a 5%, 5 balls in the lottery beat me out. It was just listen, Bruning, I've used that draft lottery thing. I'm going to petition that all that stuff gets entered live, because if you set it and click it, if you just hit the back button and click it again, the results, it won't repopulate. The results are kind of, so I am not conspiracy ballot electioning your integrity of this league. But I'm going to ask that all entries be put in manually. I know y'all got 50 of them that you have to do every day, but I need to see it done manually, because there's no damn way I lost out 85% of the lottery balls. Neither here nor there. Jay, there's some basketball news to talk about. And, no, we're not going to go basketball news yet, because I want to talk about Aaron Rodgers and his backpedaling.
Yes, sir.
Now, did you see the new Aaron Rodgers and Pat McAfee? I mean, the Pat McAfee.
I mean, he's on every week though. He's on every week.
So now, what did you watch any of it? Did you watch any of the clips about him?
I watched some.
What was the theme of Aaron Rodgers in this one?
It was, the funny thing for me is that he basically said that he's going to stick to sports, which I just thought was hilarious. Usually it's the media members telling the athletes to stick to sports, and he was like, no, I'm going to be the one who sticks to sports. He literally said, I am an athlete. I'm not an activist. So I'm going back to doing what I do best. And it just reminded me of Kyrie Irving. And just imagine Kyrie Irving just punching a wall somewhere. Because, Kyrie Irving, he's suspended. He can't play. I mean, he's getting paid for his games that he's missing that are on the road. But, yeah, Aaron Rodgers, I appreciate the comment, but it's a little too late for that.
Yeah, he's backtracking on his whole comments now. It's just I'm not the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan. I think he's a fantastic football player, just not the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan. But Jay, now let's move to basketball, and we'll start with the college side. I'm just telling y'all right now, people, I have zero interest in college basketball. Zero. I think because the game has just changed so much, man. I remember being excited to watch these high school recruits play, like even as recently as Zion Williamson. Like when you know who these high school basketball players are, that's what makes it exciting because they're only going to stay for a season. Like they're only going to be there for a year. If they're that good, they're only going to play for a year. If they get hurt, they'll sit out the entire. Like Kyrie played 8 games at Duke and then he was out. Like he was done. I just have zero interest in college basketball, so I have no clue who this guy is. But and I'm just looking at him. Bro, are you?
First question for you.
Go ahead, man.
Everyone listening at home,
what are we doing
here?
This
is
is
Chet Holmgren.
Lord.
Number 1 prospect out of Minneapolis, played at the same high school as Jalen Suggs.
Oh god.
So he's got some cachet, man. Number 1 player in the country.
Could you not find a better picture of this kid?
How tall do you think he is? And what position do you think he plays?
He's 100% a 7-footer and he plays the 2 guard.
He's a 7-foot center. He got 13 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists, 7 blocks in his first game ever at Gonzaga. And he broke the Zag's all-time record for blocks in a game. That's just, come on, man. How are you going to beat that? How are you going to beat this guy? But to your point, 7 foot, 100, and he's listed at 195 pounds. That's his listed weight. He could legitimately be 180 pounds. Like,
bro,
I am more than 195 pounds.
Why are we talking about this dude?
Because
I'm
this
5
guy
foot,
is,
bro. I'm 5'9", 210. I could play running back, right? Like, I sit back and think about that sometimes. I'm like, dude, I'm 5'9", 210, bro. Like, I'm Kenneth Walker. I am a bell cow running back right now in the league. I could go tote the rock right now in the league. Go ahead, man. This dude is going to be the number 1 pick?
Number 1, man, he could be.
Oh, my gosh.
These guys, but people have to understand, like, these are still 18-year-olds, like, I mean, what are you going to do? When I was 18,
you see Zion
I was like
at
100
18?
Do you see Zion now? Do you think Zion gained any weight from 18 all the way to what's he now, 20 years old? Well, he gained a little bit because he's hitting 3 bills now. But Chet, man, he's disgusting. He can handle the block. He can score. He can obviously rebound. Blocks for days, man. So it's funny that he actually played as a junior in a primetime game against Sierra Canyon. Everyone knows Sierra Canyon. That's where Bronny James went. That's where Zaire Wade played. And he had 12 blocks in that game against that team. This like super team out in California. He's just like, nah, son, blocked them 12 times. Honestly, man, like, I know you're into the Top Shot game, so I got to let you know who this guy is. He could be the number 1 pick. He could be the number 1 pick, man. But honestly, for me, I think you should watch him. We talk about Malik Willis. You tell me watch Malik Willis. He's going to be a high draft pick. I think you should watch him because he's got a great game. He can do it all inside, outside. He reminds a lot of people of the European bigs, except he's American. If he was European, he would get comped to Jokic. He would get comped to all these guys, but he's just a white guy from Minneapolis, so he doesn't get the same comparisons.
He is a white guy from Minneapolis, but
again,
listen,
it is what it is.
Listen, man, I'm not. The picture just was not aesthetically pleasing to my basketball eye.
Oh, he's ugly. Like,
hey,
when I first
Carl,
picture,
chill
like,
out.
damn.
Carl over here talking. He said I'm over the age. I'm 36. Me and Adrian Peterson, dude. I'm not bull. This is how arrogant I am. I'm working out last night, mind you. I'm just like swinging the kettlebell, kind of skipping rope, and I'm winded. I mean, I am winded. OGQ has not been a part of FF Fit Club. And I literally was telling myself, I'm on the Stairmaster, and I'm like, bro, right now at 36, I can go at least seem like I'm comparable against Jamar Chase. I legitimately was telling myself, if I was lined up against Jamar Chase, I was like, I bet you I could run with him right now. Like, I bet you I can run with him. No, I can't.
Supreme confidence.
That's supreme. That's the confidence that I have. This dude is a rail. Good Lord. So we get Dallas Workhorse GQ and all county.
Yes, sir. That's it.
I could be a Workhorse back
Jim
right
Rat
now.
GQ.
Oh man. All right, Chet Holmgren. I will check him out. Is he good, man? Can he ball?
He's bro. He's really good. Like, think about the skill it takes to like the 13 points is whatever. He could score more, but still got 14 rebounds, still dropped 6 times, and had 7 blocks. Like,
okay.
What more do you want from your center? You gotta check him out.
I'll check him out. And is he a true center? Like, he's a true back to the basket? Like that kind of. I mean,
is he as back to the basket as you? He for college, yes. In the NBA, he will struggle because of his weight, right? He can't throw his weight around.
195. That BMI has got to be like negative.
His BMI is off the charts.
It's got to be negative. I mean, 7 foot 190.
And that's if he's that. Like, know, we talk about the weighed in August and in June, like July sometime. You know, when they get around to playing the season, they maybe drop 10, 20 pounds because they're running, they're playing every day, practicing. But just crazy. Dope player, though. Dope player.
All right, I'll check him out. And then Duke versus Kentucky. Did you watch? I will not watch college basketball until March Madness.
College basketball is rough.
Even then, I don't fill out a bracket. They try to run too many plays. I just don't like it. It's just not. It's not. I'll tell you this. I enjoy women's college basketball more than I enjoy men's college basketball. I really do. I'd rather watch women's college basketball over men's. I think there are dope moments, especially once the tournament hits, but I'm not a big college basketball fan, man. When you start to see players just say, screw college, LaMelo go to Lithuania and he's still a top pick, you know, Luka didn't play over here. Like, it's hard. It's hard for me to get into it, man. Ray,
I agree with you. The biggest thing is the college gap, right? People who like the NBA, it's very difficult for them to watch college basketball because it's so bad. Like, it's just, by comparison, it's so bad they can't score. They miss so many shots. But Duke beat Kentucky yesterday. Biggest reason why I was kind of tapped into this game, it was Coach K's first game of his farewell tour. Obviously playing against one of his biggest rivals, Kentucky.
Yeah.
People are talking about chatter of can Duke, you know, ultimately overcome all the odds, band together for Coach K and win a national championship. They have the number 2 overall prospect in the country, Paolo Banchero. Dude is an animal, man. He's huge. Like, he's went 22 and 7 rebounds. He's a big power forward. He can score back to the basket. Like, Chet is the slender guy. He can dish the ball. He can still handle all.
Is he going to be like Porzingis?
No, he's more skilled than Porzingis. Porzingis doesn't really facilitate, right? That's the biggest thing with Chet.
So what is he? He's a so is he? Okay, is he?
You'd comp him
is he
to
like
Jokic,
right? But like much smaller, 200 pounds smaller.
Yeah, like his ceiling comp is Jokic, right? Because he's the best big in the NBA. You know, even though
Jokic, how big is Jokic? How big is Jokic?
He's slimmed down, actually. Let me check what he is right now.
Yeah, check his weight. Check his weight.
He's slimmed down during quarantine.
That's a good segue into Jokic and this whole thing about Marcus Morris and the brothers are taking shots everywhere at each other. So as you look that up, tell us what the hell happened. I just saw the highlights. Jokic was bringing the ball up court. Morris like undercuts and hits him, and then Jokic goes out of the frame. Next thing you know, he just blasts Morris in the back. And what's going on?
So this story kind of evolved over the past couple of days, but basically this happened not last night, but the night before. Like, you're talking about this incident where you see the picture here of Jokic pushing Markieff Morris in the back. It was because Markieff came in, fouled him kind of hard, gave him a jab to the ribs, and Jokic was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, if you're going to hit me, you better hit me harder than that. And then Jokic came back, and when his back was turned, hit him in the back, knocked him over. Bro, honestly, I thought about, as soon as I watched this clip, I'm like, if Jokic did that to me, I would be dead. Like, I would be straight up dead because people don't understand how big these NBA players are.
They're huge,
Jokic
man.
was actually like running. Like, he wasn't sprinting because, you know, Jokic can't really sprint. You know, he gets a good jog on. but he was running at him, and he actually he gave him a pretty good shot. But Markieff Morris is still probably 6'6", 6'7", 250. But back to our original question about Jokic, he's listed at 6'11", 284, which I think is his original weight. I don't know if that's what he weighs now, because in quarantine, he must have lost 40 pounds. He used to be fat and chubby. Came out when he got into the bubble, he was kind of really slim. People were like, yo, what the hell happened to Jokic? And he looked kind of like the way Chet looks. Now, obviously not quite as severe, because that dude's super skinny. But Jokic just came out, decked Markieff Morris. Everyone's like, damn, son, look at what just happened. And they both got ejected, all this stuff. But then yesterday on Twitter, Jokic's brothers, everyone haven't seen the pictures, they're all just like him. They're huge.
Yeah, they're huge.
I think one is 6'8", one
they're
6'9".
Serbian, man. I'm not effing with Serbians, bro. I've watched a lot of movies. I've watched Taken. I've watched all Takens. Takens 1, 2, and 3. They don't play. They do not play. I've seen the Avengers movie where Ultron went and destroyed one. I'm not messing with Serbians, man. They don't play. Morris better be careful.
Yeah, so it was actually Marcus Morris. For people who don't know, Markieff Morris has a twin brother in the NBA as well. And so it was Marcus Morris who was basically saying oh yeah, you're taking cheap shots when his back's turned. And the Jokic brothers, I didn't even know they had a Twitter account. People weren't even sure if it was their real account, but they were like, yup, it's our account. We're the ones talking. And they said, if you want to step outside, we're coming. We'll be there. The Jokic brothers, they're wild. Like you said, Serbians, you ain't trying to play with them.
I'm not playing with them.
They're three guys that are probably a legit 6'9".
Well, they argued. They had beef with somebody last NBA season in the stands. They were beefing with somebody over there. GQ, I could have all.
I'm with them.
I'm not fooling with any of the Jokic brothers. Sir, if you're from Serbia, I will back down. You can have it. I want no problems. But just to really speak to your point about how big these NBA players are, we look at Derrick Henry, right? And I know Derrick Henry's 240. I get the weight, but just height wise, he towers over other running backs, right? Derrick Henry's 6'2", 6'3". Steph Curry's 6'2", 6'3". And he's a tiny point guard in the end. These dudes are massive. The biggest, what's the left tackle for the Eagles? Mailata. He's 6'7", 6'8".
I have no idea.
Yeah. He's shooting
just
guard.
Regular size in the NBA.
He's a shooting guard. He's just a
yeah.
regular dude. But basketball players are huge. They're so tall, man. They're freaking tall. Neither here nor
Biggest
there.
player I ever saw was actually Dwight Howard, in person. That guy is insanely large.
I saw Yao Ming in the Galleria in Houston when I lived in Houston for undergrad. I tell you, we were in Macy's, I believe, and I looked over, and all you see, and I am not exaggerating, is a head probably the size of a watermelon. His head was that big, and I was just like, wow. And I'm not the let me go get an autograph, take a picture with you guy. If I walk past, my wife and I, we were eating in this cafe in Rice Village in Houston, and J.J. Watt's sitting right next to us having breakfast. And I was just like, what's up, J.J.? Appreciate your game. And he was like, appreciate you, man. And left him alone. Dude, they're out trying to enjoy their damn day. I'm not, can you sign this? Can I get a picture? I just said, what up? So I just saw him, and I was like, that's Yao Ming. And his head was the size of a freaking watermelon, man. He's huge. He's huge. Conversely, football players, bro, again, I played with Danny Woodhead. You'd walk right past him and not know who he is. Would have no clue he played in the NFL. Someone said Zion is a DT. All right, last little piece of news before we get to the Thursday night football game. College football rankings. They dropped, and I was right. And it wasn't a hard call, so I'm not everyone kept saying Alabama was going to drop to 4, and I was like, why? They're not dropping to 4. They're not going to drop. Alabama, as long as they play Georgia closely, they are going to be in the college football playoff. I'm telling y'all. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying, hey, Bruning, my wife's got a picture with Shaquille O'Neal in a Walmart, and she was uncomfortably close to a place that I didn't want her to be, but at that time, she wasn't my wife, so it doesn't matter. But, yes, Shaquille O'Neal is a big man as well. Alabama's not falling out of the top 4. I'm telling y'all, unless they get crushed by Georgia, they will be the 4th-ranked team. They will be. Oregon's going to lose at some point. first of all, the rankings: Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, Ohio State, Cincinnati 5, Michigan 6, Michigan State 7, and Oklahoma 8. I'm more shocked that Oklahoma's still at 8, man. Like, I just undefeated. This is going to be an interesting one. Like, they're still ranked behind Michigan and Michigan State. So even though I don't know what's going to happen.
That's the biggest problem. So the way I see it, Ray, and you can kind of give your take on this, is that there's one spot being held for either Oregon, Cincinnati, or Oklahoma. And the other spot's going to probably whoever wins the Big Ten. It'll be Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State. We all assume it'll be Ohio State. That's why they're obviously in 4th. But I don't know how you tie break between Oregon, Cincinnati, and Oklahoma. We all expect Oregon to potentially lose a game. Cincinnati.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? One spot reserved for those 3 teams. So you think Alabama's in regardless?
Unless they even if they lose to Georgia, I don't think they fall for. You're saying they won't fall further than 4. I don't think they fall further than 3 because they don't want to see Alabama, Georgia again, right? They're not going to put Alabama, Georgia again.
So Alabama loses to Georgia in the SEC title game. You're saying they'll fall to 3. They'll just put them at 3.
I think they fall because they won't put them at 4 because they won't rematch them again, right?
Okay.
So
fair.
then you have the Big Ten spot, which right now is occupied by Ohio State. You have Michigan, Michigan State in the mix. We'll see. But I think that last spot is going to go to Oregon, Cincinnati, Oklahoma. But how do you pick when they're not playing each other? They're all expected to kind of win their respective conferences. So I don't know. Like, I think Oklahoma should definitely be ahead of Cincinnati. But the committee says otherwise. The committee says Cincinnati's the better team.
I wonder why.
For now, I don't know.
Is it the close law? The close wins versus the comeback win versus Texas? But I mean, that was the Spencer Rattler, Caleb Williams exchange game.
Yeah.
Is it how they played Kansas? The Oklahoma at 8 is so puzzling to me. Bruning says if Oklahoma wins out, they are in. The back end of their schedule is loaded. Okay, so. I don't know, man, because I do not think Alabama can beat Georgia. I just don't. I think Georgia will crush Alabama. I think that's what will happen. I'm just saying if Alabama plays Georgia tight, they're not going to fall out of the top 4. They won't. They will not do it. They will. This is not about who's the most deserving. This is not it. This is probably almost worse than the BCS, like to a certain degree. And the BCS was bad, especially towards the end. The BCS was bad. When USC won the Natty and didn't even play in the game, that tells you everything you need to know. But this is literally set up so a group of people can go in the room and be like, all right, who do we need? What matchups do the people want? It's almost like UFC. They're just making the fight. They're just making the fight. And
literally,
they're giving these teams false hope. Michigan and Michigan State are not going to, unless Michigan beats Ohio State. And if that happens, possibility, because Ohio State, possibility. I don't think it's a high probability, but it's possible. I don't know what's going to happen. I think the team that is locked in no matter what is Georgia. Georgia's in no matter what. Georgia's in. If Alabama beats Georgia, that would be like the best case for I don't know. This is just Oklahoma at 8 seems bad.
So back to Oklahoma, right? They play Baylor this week on the road.
Okay.
Big game, obviously, in Waco.
Win. Yeah.
Then you have Iowa State. They're at home for that game. And then they have to go to Oklahoma State to close out the year. And then, obviously, they play the Big 12 championship game. Or do they have a Big 12 championship game?
Yeah,
or do they still not have that?
Yeah, they got it.
Well, they finally got one. So, yeah, they have to go at Baylor, at home against Iowa State, and then at Oklahoma State. So those are 3 big wins. Right now, all those teams in the top 20. Oklahoma State is actually 10th right now in the country. So that right now would be 4 versus 10 or 8 versus 10, however you look at it. They're ranked 8th in the college football playoff rankings. Oklahoma is 4 in the AP poll right now.
That's what this whole system is just screwed to me. I think they should do it to where they expand the playoffs. The Big 5 conferences, the conference champs get an automatic bid. You get your at-large teams from the G5 schools. And Bruning said Oklahoma, all of the good teams they play are now moving forward for Oklahoma, so their strength of record will be better than Oregon. I think Oregon gets the nod over Ohio State because of the head-to-head matchup. So Oregon does have a head-to-head victory over Ohio State. I'm not sold on Anthony Brown and Oregon completely. Don't rule out Bama losing to Auburn in 2 weeks. They've lost in the Iron Bowl the last 2 times. And this Bama team is not as good as in the past. I'm with you.
No, they're not.
I'm with you. But this is just going to be interesting to see how this college football playoff rankings shape up. I don't buy that. A lot of people are like, oh, it's the best resume. Oh, it's the best,
It's never that.
It's never that. It's never
Most
that.
money.
Who's going to draw? Who's going to fill up that stadium? Who's going to get the TV ratings? Michigan has to beat Ohio State, but I can't see it happening. Expansion needs to happen at this point. Otherwise, Oklahoma or Texas will never get in when they move to the SEC. I'm with you. They need to expand, and there are a lot of changes happening within college football world as far as governing, and it's going to give more autonomy to the conferences. So we'll see how all this plays out. But we have a Thursday night football game tomorrow. We have the Baltimore Ravens versus the Miami Dolphins. We kind of talked about this yesterday. Lamar Jackson, is Tua playing in this one? Do we know if Tua's playing?
Game time decision is the latest report that I've seen. Yeah, it seems like he's trending towards not playing, but listed right now it's a game time decision. So we may see the Jacoby Brissett experience just one more time.
I literally just I want to ride with Tua so much. Like I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I saw a stat on PFF that their offensive line have given up like 267 like pressures to the quarterback, and the next closest is like 180. Like they're just the dead last in the NFL in as far as allowing pressure to the quarterback, the Miami Dolphins. So whether it's Deshaun Watson, Tua, Aaron Rodgers, that nobody has time to throw the ball in that offense. Lamar Jackson, I saw the quote yesterday. They asked Lamar how he felt about playing on a short week, and Lamar just was like, I love football, bro, so I'll play any day. I love Lamar Jackson, his attitude, his outlook on the game. I'll tell you right now, man. I'll tell you who's looked good is Devontae Freeman, and Le'Veon Bell actually looked pretty good last week. And I put a couple of waiver claims in for Devontae Freeman. Dan Brandon got me on one of those, and Lev Bell. But both of those guys have looked good for the Baltimore offense. I don't see any way in which Miami wins this game. Hollywood Brown is on a tear. Rashad Bateman is a stock that's in a squeeze right now. He's squeezing. Like the explosion is coming for Rashad Bateman. Mark Andrews is a stud. Outside of Jalen Waddle and Mike Gesicki's been unreal this year. I mean, some of the receptions that he was making, he's a glorified wide receiver, right? He's another Kyle Pitts type guy, just ultra athletic wide receiver designated as tight end. But I just don't see there's any world in which Miami wins this game. What about you?
No, man, I'm with you. You touched on all the points. Baltimore favored by 7.5, which to me seems a little bit low. People need to remember that the last time that these two teams played was in 2019, the very beginning of Lamar Jackson's MVP campaign, and the Ravens put up 59 points on these Dolphins. Now, to be fair, it's not quite these Dolphins. That was before they revamped their defense, and I believe before they brought in Brian Flores. But 59 points is very difficult to ignore. They didn't play last season, and so now Lamar going back to Miami. He's a Florida man, from Hollywood, Florida. I'm expecting these guys to, they're going to be excited about this game. Longest reception for Hollywood, 23.5 yards. I'm all in on this one. Miami's allowing the most deep completions in all of the NFL, so that's 20-plus yard completions, and allowing a 45% completion percentage and 29 yards per reception. They have the second most yards allowed on deep attempts, only to the Lions. Hollywood Brown is a deep threat. He's going to get deep on this team, and unless they double him on every play, I don't see a scenario where they don't get him the ball at least once. Again, two Florida boys that just love to play in Florida. They play up in this stadium. I think they're going to be excited. They're probably going to have lots of family in the stands. I don't know what's going to happen, but I expect them to really, like Stone's saying, make a statement. I can see that, 7.5 is very beatable for this team. The only question for me is, are they going to go over? Over under 46.5, I don't know, but I really like the Ravens to cover in this game. Really like them to cover.
Over under 228 passing for Lamar? It's low. It seems low, right?
It's low, but the problem is it depends on, we always talk about how is this game flow going to play out.
Yeah, the story. Yeah, the game.
And the problem for me is I don't know how much they're going to run. Last time, so I have a question for you, and we'll talk more about this game. But I want to know from you, how many touchdowns do you think Lamar Jackson has this season rushing?
4.
Okay. So he only has 2. And they only came in the Kansas City game because he's got stuffed on the goal line like 6 times every time he tries to score. So I was looking at the stats, so like you talked about 228 passing yards, 1.5 touchdowns. I'm fine if you want to go 2 touchdowns to minus 130. Plus 110 to throw a pick. Don't hate it. Plus money to throw a pick. I always love those numbers. But 62.5 rushing yards. I don't know what to do with this number. It's a very high number. And again, the last time they played, they put up 59 points. Lamar Jackson rushed for 3 yards. He basically didn't have to run at all the last time they played. He threw the ball.
I mean, why is he going to have to run? I mean, why would he need to run in this one on the short? Miami's bad. That's a bad football team. Bad defense, bad offense. Jacoby probably, that would be an interesting one. Whether it's Jacoby or Tua, whatever quarterback's playing, bet on that quarterback to throw an interception. 62.5 rushing yards. It's kind of a lot, man, but if anybody could hit it, it's Lamar. Like you said, I don't know if the game script will require him to run a lot. I just don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like even with Hollywood, 56.5 receiving yards, 4.5 receptions. I like the receiving yards because I think he's going to get one deep target or a couple deep targets. Andrews, 50 yards. I'm like iffy on that one. Andrews been kind of up and down this season. He's probably better shot to score a touchdown. But I love Bateman, 375 to score a touchdown.
Yeah, Bateman to score. I like Mark Andrews over 3.5 receptions. And like you said, Miami is allowing the most deep completions in the NFL, like 22 in the league, man. And the second most yards, one on deep attempts, 648. Like the only worst team is than the Dolphins are the Lions. So this bodes well. Lions. This bodes well for Bateman. It bodes well for Hollywood Brown. I think the Ravens, like Stone said, they're going to make a statement in this one, and it'll be interesting. I want to see who's playing quarterback for Miami. Real quick, Myles Gaskin, Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki. What do you like? Who do you like, if anybody? Are you doing anything with this game at all?
I just want the Ravens to cover. I do like that Hollywood number, and I think I'd be willing to maybe take a little bit of action on Bateman, right? Bateman touchdown, because it's still 375. That's a good number.
375. That's good.
And then there's also the Lamar rushing number. I'd be willing to take the under there.
The under.
But the one number I want to go after is Jalen Waddle, 21.5 yards, longest reception. His over-under for yardage is 60.5, which is a little bit high, but the Ravens do allow a lot of deep completions, right? So even though we think of them as a kind of a better defense, they have been allowing guys to get deep on them. Waddle is the only guy on that team that can actually do it, no matter who's guarded. It could be Marlon Humphrey, it could be anybody. Waddle can run past anybody who's up against him. So it's just, can they put him in a position to catch a deep target? Can the quarterback get it there? That's a different conversation. But as far as the potential for a blow-up reception from Waddle, it's always there with him, and it's always there against this Ravens defense.
I don't like that for Waddle, but I do like his receptions. And over the last 4 weeks, he hasn't had under 8 receptions in any game. 8 targets, 13 targets, 8 targets, 11 targets, 10 targets. His last 4 games. He's running primarily out of the slot. And I talked about this with a group of people last night. When that's like your primary position, there's only 2 routes that you run that are deep. It's the seam route, and then it's an out and up, a wheel route. Other than that, you're not running post corners out of the slot traditionally. It's a lot of short area targets, crossing routes, slants. Like Jalen Waddle is being used like a possession receiver, but he's a speed guy. Can he catch a slant? Can he catch a crosser and turn it up for 21? Sure. But I'm just more confident, especially if it's Jacoby Brissett, and no Devontae Parker, it's going to be all Mike Gesicki and all Jalen Waddle. And if the story and the narrative is the Ravens are going to make a statement, i.e. get out early on Miami, they're going to be forced to throw the ball. They don't have a good running game. They just don't. So I think it's just going to be a lot. And if Tua plays, you better believe they're going to try to get the ball out of his hand as quickly as possible. I like Jalen Waddle's over his receptions. I'd be tempted to take the yards, but I really like the reception total for Jalen Waddle in this one.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and that's where for me it is at 5.5. So he's got to get to 6, but
He's got to get to
you'll
6.
double your money if he gets there. So like you said, 8 targets a game is pretty good. I don't know what his catch percentage is, but I believe it's somewhere around 60%.
It's not bad.
We'll see if he gets the deep targets. But yeah, I definitely do agree with you there that if he's going to be playing primarily out of the slot and he may be seeing a little bit more of Marlon Humphrey or Jimmy Smith than I would like to see, because he's the only guy there, right? He's the only show in town. You just have to make sure he doesn't get deep on you, and you're probably going to be all right. I don't know whether I prefer Jacoby or I prefer Tua. I think I'd prefer Tua because he is also
Tua.
plus 200 to score a touchdown. Yeah, and I like that number. If he's plus 200 to score a touchdown with Tua at the helm, I think he's got a pretty good shot because we've seen them in the end zone. They get a little bit creative and they get the ball to Waddle quickly, and he just kind of scores on a quick route. So I would like that number as well. Gesicki plus 230 to score a touchdown. I don't love it, don't hate it. It's crazy to watch him and Pat Freiermuth because I don't know which one of them is better, but their games are just so similar. Obviously they both went to the same college, so you kind of saw the potential in Freiermuth, knowing what you've seen from Gesicki. I think Freiermuth's a little bit better, though. Do you think he's a little bit better?
I don't know, man. I mean, I was really high on Gesicki. He's big and athletic. I think they're two different type of players. Like, Gesicki is more wide receiver than tight end, and Pat Freiermuth is more tight end that's a really good receiver opposed to wide. You know what I mean? I think they're two different. They're both good, and they got another young guy named Theo Johnson on the way. They're both good. I think they're two different type of tight ends. I like both. I know a lot of people were off of Mike Gesicki. I think he's going to get paid. I think he's going to get paid. I mean, he's an absolute mismatch problem, and Freiermuth is ascending. We're seeing that right now. So we'll see how the game plays out. Make sure you tap into the FTN Fantasy Happy Hour with myself, Brooke Cromer, and Elliot tomorrow. We'll be going through all our prop bets for that game. But that's all we got for this one as far as NFL is concerned. We've got some good college football games this weekend that we'll jump into tomorrow. We've got Michigan versus Penn State. Penn State is finally unranked, as they should be. Bad football team. Good players, not a good team. We got Oklahoma Baylor, Mississippi State Auburn, Georgia versus Tennessee. Hendon Hooker. I'm about to get him in my rankings, man. I really like what I'm seeing from Hendon Hooker. Purdue, Ohio State this weekend. I think Ole Miss, Texas A&M. That's the big ESPN game. Yeah, that's the big ESPN game. They got Notre Dame, Virginia on ABC. Woof. Yuck. Woof. Arkansas, LSU, Bijan Robinson, Kansas, TCU versus Oklahoma State. So check this out, bro. And we can't play the video on here for obvious reasons, but I keep seeing reports about TCU reaching out to Deion Sanders to be the head coach, like really? He's in the mix. And then all I could think about, if you guys have not seen have you seen the clip of Deion Sanders in the locker room where he's like, hit my theme music?
No.
You haven't seen it?
I don't think so. Maybe.
Just go look it up. There's no way they're going to let Deion come to this good Christian school when his theme song is a song by YG that repeats a very derogative word over and over and over again. And Deion's just in the locker room, just dancing. He's like, yeah, play my theme song. And the whole team is singing my hitter, if you get my direction. The whole team.
No way.
It was for a show. I'll send you the video. So Deion goes in the locker room after Jackson State wins, and he says, y'all know what I like to do after the game? Hit my theme song. And he kind of walks and then said, I'm going to ride for my mug and hitter. I'm going to die with my thing. And Deion's just grooving, my hitter. And I'm just like, TCU's going to bring in Deion to play some. Hey, we appreciate y'all tapping in, man. We will not be playing Deion Sanders' theme song, but we will be back to talk college football tomorrow. We'll start to get a look ahead to the NFL games, and maybe we should have a theme song that we enter to. Let's roll with that Deion Sanders theme song tomorrow. We appreciate y'all tapping in. We out. Peace.